To unpack the implications of Dmitry Reeves' the U.S. visit and its potential impact on the conflict, we invited two distinguished political researchers who bring insights from both sides of the Atlantic. From Washington, a political researcher, Rene, offers the grounded U.S. perspective on sanctions and diplomatic possibilities. And from Moscow, Vincent Legorio, a researcher at the Atlantic Intelligence Center, provides analysis of Russian strategic intentions and internal dynamics. Together, they help clarify whether this economic envoy's actions can alter the war's trajectory or if new sanctions have already sealed the diplomatic war. A very warm welcome and thank you very much for your time and for being with us in today's episode of Think Tank. We start off with Mr. Rene. What's the strategic significance of Dmitriyev's sudden visit amidst tightening U.S. sanctions, sir?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about these issues. And I do hope that we are on another breakthrough to finding a pathway to peace here, because the United States and the world, frankly, has just grown tired of these endless talks with zero progress that we've seen to this point. And so what we're seeing now is a different pursuit. We're seeing more sanctions, and we're seeing United States saying to Moscow, either we move towards a real peace, a real framework, or we move forward with new consequences. And that means shutting down the gas stations of that part of the world and shutting off the funding for Putin's war machine. Up to this point, the United States has shown immense flexibility and extreme patience. But we've seen enough of these talks. We've seen enough handshakes, photos, and without any progress. And so at this point, I think that we're looking at a very clear mandate from those participating in the talks. Russia can still make the right choice, but the window of patience is closing. Every day is costing more lives, it's costing more money, and risks a wider war. And so the time for patience is over. It's time for results, or else we're going to see even more destructive consequences for everyone involved.
Mr. Rene, you mentioned zero talks with no pursue. Did you mean which side, sir? The Russian side or the Ukrainian side?
Well, again, the talks with all sides. I mean, President Trump has said this over and over again, that the two sides are having a very difficult time coming together. But let's be real about what's happening here. This is a war of Russian aggression, and Ukraine is having to defend itself against this aggression. And so, again, while there's been just as much pressure put on Zelensky to find a pathway towards peace as well. Again, these two actors are having a very difficult time finding their pathway to peace. But it really is Russia that is responsible now for finding a pathway toward getting to a resolution here, because it's time for results.
Mr. Legorio, how do you read what Mr. Rene just said, and are you okay with what he said, or do you want to interact and ask him anything or answer him?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to Think Tank. I think that my colleague is partially right, but I think that here the problem lay on both sides, not only on Russia, because Trump provided a proposition to
both sides.
Zelensky.
You mean the United States and Russia? You don't mean the United States
Ukraine.
and Ukraine?
I think Russia and Ukraine.
You mean Russia and Ukraine, both sides? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a fair person, sir.
Because I think that the proposition that Putin provided to Trump and Trump turned to Zelensky is very difficult to be accepted by Zelensky, because he's first of all position as a president, the constitutional integrity, and also his political position would be threatened by accepting to to give up a good portion of his recognized territory as Ukraine one. On the other side, Putin cannot accept to give up territory that at 90% is controlling now, and also he puts into constitution. We know that Russian constitution would allow him to give up territory that is not controlling. So we know that Zaporizhia, for example, and other regions would be, let me say, deleted from the constitutional control. So this won't, let me say, sound very, very bad for Russia and for the internal policy. So I think that this mission is quite delicate. Mr. Dmitriev, in this sudden mission, is trying to make up and to, let me say, buy time, because we know that on the ground, Russia are advancing. We know that a few days ago, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, Belousov, the Minister of Defense, the new Minister of Defense, inspected the ground position, the new ground position, and said that the latest advancements are quite crucial to win this, not only the battle, but to win the war. So I think that Putin doesn't want to risk to break up with Trump, doesn't want to lose the result occurred in their face-to-face meeting in Alaska, but of course he's pressured by what is called in Russian Siloviki, so the powers, the people in power in the army and the secret service, that they want to push, they want a victory on that time. So it's quite a delicate time. I don't see, let me say, a positive result coming in the next week. So I think that we are going to stretch more and more and more from any side, trying to buy time. But we know, as analysts, that also, and I think my colleague can confirm, Trump is, let me say, losing his battles on that.
Mr. Rene, please? Mr. Rene, can you confirm what he said, or you did not listen to him?
Well, yeah. I didn't quite hear the confirmation here, but let's be clear here when it comes to what has been hinted at from the Russian envoy, is that it might be ready to discuss these battle lines rather than insisting on a total territorial defense here. And, I think that the time for talks is becoming, more and more obsolete. The Kremlin, and Putin have mastered this art of delay. They have mastered this art of distraction. And they're trying to make peace sound like a process versus a decision. It is abundantly clear that the United States needs to see evidence that they're serious, that the Russians are serious about achieving a peace. I mean, even while they were talking in Alaska here just a few weeks ago about peace, all of a sudden they're still having bombs, they're still having aggression, they're still having all of this killing, and it's time for a genuine peace. And again, we're not going to be fooled. President Trump isn't going to be fooled by public relations gestures, and I think that's exactly why the meeting that was being discussed for Budapest was one that was postponed. Because if nothing credible is going to come from it, why continue to talk? And I think Russia is going to have to eventually just start to feel the pain from these increased sanctions and squeeze them into a negotiation at this point.
Hopefully, sir. Mr. Rene, how is Washington interpreting this outreach? A peace signal or a pressure tactic?
I think it's a combination of both. And what the United States people are thinking of here is it's just an extreme fatigue. I mean, this is a war that's gone on for years. It's been one that has been funded primarily by the United States. I mean, and now we're seeing Europe stepping up and spending more in its own defense as well. But again, these are, it's important. But at the same time, it's expensive and it's tiring, and in the fatigue that we're seeing here in not seeing much progress on either end and not seeing much progress towards peace is incredibly frustrating. And so I think that seeing Donald Trump's leadership and trying to find a pathway to try to find a deal is indeed encouraging. But again, I don't think that we're going to be tolerant of these continued delay tactics. It's time for a pathway to peace. And I do hope that's exactly what we're going to be
True,
seeing
sir.
here.
Word that many of the lives of people are dying every day, and that did not reach any objective till now, till today. And we're discussing like at least 3 years, which is a long period, sir. Yes. Mr. Legorio, can this visit revive prospects from a Trump-Putin summit, or has that window already been closed?
Well, I think that there is a possibility to see, and I don't believe that was just postponed, the meeting, but it was really cancelled, and even Vladimir Putin declared.
Yes, sir. Why was it cancelled?
On open mic. Well, because Trump understood that there was not space for real negotiation from Russian side, and
even after the sanctions.
It was even before the sanction that the meeting was cancelled, and then the sanctions were imposed. Now, Mr. Dmitry is trying to not only to buy time, but to buy credibility from the Russian side, and trying to propose something concrete to resume the possibility to have the meeting. And I think that Russia should give something concrete. Otherwise, we will see already new sanctions that being proposed. We know already the effect of this sanction. Chinese state oil company already suspended the contract with Russia. So, and I think that this is very difficult for China, because these contracts were very favorable for financial and economically for China. And I believe that the hint that Trump provided a few hours ago, asking China to be involved, was related to that, and to new sanctions that would, let me say, touch not only the oil but also the gas that Russia is providing through direct pipelines to China. So this is I see the possibility to have a meeting, but Russia should give something concrete. I don't know exactly what, because we know that this form of diplomacy is completely new. It's not a diplomacy. We know that Dmitry is not a diplomat, but he's a businessman. So they are trying to use a different language.
Maybe economic, sir?
Of course.
Okay, sir,
Russia
I want to ask you another question, Mr. Okay, go ahead.
Russia is trying to provide, let me say, to put on the table more trade and economic contracts to take, let me say, a bit of back control in this matter, the matter of the meeting and the matter of the peace talks.
Sir, do you see, Mr. Legorio, do you see that Russia can depend on China, and after these sanctions were imposed, and that things will go on well economically on the ground, or is it going to be more complicated at this point?
Well, Russia depends on the new partners that has. So this is China, this is India. We know that these are the biggest, let me say, buyers in terms of energy and in terms of, let me say, money flow to finance this conflict and to finance the Putin administration. So
perfect, sir. But are they enough, China and India, to protect Russia from all the other backlash that's taking place on Russia?
Only from one side is not enough. So we know
United States?
The United States is fundamental. So it's fundamental for Russia now to try to have to restore, let me say, not only a channel but a relationship with the United States.
Mr. Rene, with the Trump-Putin summit reportedly delayed, what does this timing tell us about U.S. priorities? And, sir, Why did the unannounced visit of Kirill Dmitriev, from your own perspective and narrative, the special envoy and head of Russia's sovereign wealth fund, which Mr. Legorio just mentioned, that he's a businessman, he is not an envoy in terms of envoy, and why is all this taking place in light of quiet conversations and closed rooms? What does this hint something, sir, else? A tentative test of dialogue, perhaps even a search for an off-ramp? How do you read this, sir?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that everyone, especially in the private sector, is looking for pathways because, again, the sanctions are going to be very difficult, and the funding for Putin's war machine is going to dry up, and that's going to lead to even more internal pressures for the region and for the economy. And again, the gas stations that are being filled by Russian oil are going to be drying up as a result of these sanctions. And really, I mean, the ball is in Russia's court at this moment.
True,
I mean,
sir.
it really is. Yeah, the world is watching to see if Putin's envoy can bring back real progress, or if this is just more stalling. I really think that the United States and Trump is ready to react either way. And it really, I mean, I think that if we're going to see real progress, we will see real relief. But if we see more games, we are going to see more pressure. And so the progress or the setbacks are really determined on how Russia reacts here. And the way I see it, the choice is very clear. The consequences are going to become more and more credible for Russia, and the world again is watching very closely. The world is seeing in the United States, and especially in President Trump, again, an incredible deal maker, someone who is decisive, and he is someone who knows when to talk, and he's also someone who knows when to act. And so, again, if Russia takes this opportunity seriously, peace could be within reach. If not, it could find itself more isolated than ever. And again, that's a stark choice and a stark decision that I think that Putin really has to be wrestling with right now.
Mr. Rene, I don't want to ask Mr. Legorio this question because I know his answer, or I think I know his answer, of course. But I think that the Ukrainians are tired of this war, and they want it to end by any means, whatever it takes. Well, how do you read it?
Yes. Again, I think that everyone wants peace. I mean, if I'm saying here in the United States, a half a world away, saying that we're tired of this situation, I can't imagine how brutal and how impactful this situation has been for both sides. To lose so many lives, to see such destruction, to see the way of life just completely changed over the course of several years. I mean, again, it is a brutal situation. No one ever wins a war, and again, I think that the more we see progress towards ending it, the more that we can see a progress towards rebuilding and a pathway to prosperity, the better it's going to be for everyone. And I think that's exactly why we saw these missiles, these Tomahawk missiles. The talks about that
Yes.
started and stopped. I mean, we want to avoid escalation because that's just going to bring more death and destruction. So the more we can avoid that type of escalation, the better. And again, let's find a pathway to peace. I think everybody wants it.
Got your point, Mr. Legorio. How is the newly imposed sanctions on Rosenfeld and Luke Oil affect Russia's willingness to negotiate?
Well, we know that there are already a lot of difficulties in the budget of these two companies. These two companies are the cash wallet for the Russian administration, for the Russian budget, because we know that the Russian economy is based on that, and we know the new budget is laying a lot on defense. We see also by the statement of the CEO and the chairman of these two companies that there will be difficult times for the companies. We know that Gazprom is going to cut a lot of workplace and also on managerial levels, on senior managerial level. And so this sanction, I think that will affect more, and we'll see that, let me say, the spine of the Putin administration is also at the consensus of the Putin administration is given by managers and also middle class. So I think that if middle class will be affected, we will see like few cleavage inside this administration. So I think that a reflection should be given by the Russian administration in this sense. So we will see the result not now, but we will see the result in a few months. We will see the result on let me say rewriting the budget for the next year or for 2 years. We know that the response that Russian central bank is giving is not quite, let's say, effective from one point, because fight the inflation and otherwise provide new liquidity into the economy is a bit controversial. And the decision to cut of 0.5% of the interest rate, it was a tough decision, but it was pushed by the main advisor of the Russian economic advisor of the Russian administration, against the will of Mrs. Nabiullina, the chairman of the
okay,
central
got
bank.
your point, sir. Mr. Rene, can an economic envoy like Dmitriev meaningfully influence policy on ceasefire or security guarantees?
Well, I think that it's important to look at this not only to threaten and to destroy, but the economic impacts are certainly going to be what puts pressure on from all sides. I mean, these sanctions that have just now started are going to be crippling. It is going to make a big difference, and again, in the entire world, the way that they see this war, and it's going to hopefully put more pressure internally on Putin and have him decide that this is not only pressure from the rest of the world coming at me, but pressure from inside. Again, the world and Russia can't continue to fund this if they have to deal with these overall sanctions that are going to become increasingly difficult for them to manage and increasingly difficult for the world to manage. So it is going to continue to put that economic pressure on Russia to find a pathway towards peace as well. So again, if we can't find a way to solve this militarily, then there has to be a way to solve it economically, and this is just another path.
Mr. Legorio, could economic negotiations serve as a prelude to more substantive security talks later in the year?
I think yes, because this is the only language that Trump administration is able to provide, and this is the favorable language that Trump would like to
of course,
to
it's
use
the favorable
also.
Language for Donald Trump, but this means that we're shifting from political negotiations to economic negotiations.
But
maybe if you try to let the companies in Russia try to push Vladimir Putin or convince him that this is wrong for the economic of the country?
Well, political and economic one, they are overlapping in Russia. There is not an economical one without a political. So it's we know that there are a lot of oligarchs are part of the clan of the consensus. So the economic language, of course, is fundamental also for the political existence in this sense. We will have to see, but still I see that not as a concrete option. I see this option like an opportunity to buy time rather than to end this conflict. So it is a very particular conflict. is a conflict that Trump found in his hands, that was not able to control from the very beginning as it promised. And there is a lack of expertise nowadays in the Trump administration on the Russian file. That's why it would be very difficult to use only one, let me say, one tool, the one to control. It should be use different leverage, and Russia knows that.
Mr. Rene, is there room for partial sanctions relief as an incentive, or is the White House committed to maximum pressure?
Oh, absolutely. I think that we're going to see these things scale up and scale down as things change and as these negotiations continue. I think that Trump's strategy is to squeeze and then to negotiate. And what I'm reading into this is that if Russia and Putin show us progress at the negotiating table, then there will be a response in kind. If they keep funding the war, and then they'll feel the full weight of the American economy coming at them. And so yes, I do think that we could see these things dial up, dial back. And again, it really goes back to the ball being in Moscow's control here. The United States is not going to be backing down, especially under Trump, and the message has never been clearer on that. But the only way that they're going to start to see more relief is to show more progress towards a pathway to peace, ending the death and destruction.
In 10 seconds, because I have to wrap up now, Mr. Rene and Mr. Legorio, how do you read the future of everything that's taking place at this point in the Russian-Ukraine war to end this war as soon as possible under the leadership of U.S. President Donald Trump, of course, who is trying actually his best?
I see very foggy, and I think that...
You see it very foggy.
Yes, it's very foggy, and the risk is that to squeeze too much, Russia would, instead to bring a result, would create a new escalation. We have to learn from this.
Mr. Rene?
Russia's time to stall, to dodge, and to lay is officially expired, and they need to find a pathway towards peace, or there'll be more economic consequences.
Thank you so much, Dan Rene and Vincent Legorio, for your invaluable insights and analysis, and for your valuable time, of course, and informative knowledge. I can't thank you enough for joining us in today's episode of Think Tank. It was our utmost pleasure here and all the team.